regrouped. And 12th round, I thought it was absolutely fine, but it was, by then he'd had the fight won. So it was just a case of coasting through the round. Interesting to hear build an interview where I guess as a coach, you sort of think, Devin, why did you want to trade up and get involved? And the answer was because he wanted to entertain and he wanted to close the show. So for 9 rounds, he was absolutely perfect. Or 8 rounds, I hardly gave Linares a round going into 8 and 9. But Linares did finish very well. Devin, I guess got buzzed. Linares also got buzzed at the end of 1 round when he started doing a little dance to pretend he wasn't buzzed. But this is what happens. I mean, Lomachenko got dropped against Jorge Linares, and no one really mentioned that. So I thought it was a near-on faultless performance.
Bill, I have a question for both of you. If you guys can't land a fight against the likes of Teofimo, Ryan Garcia, whoever, at 135, would you then entertain moving up in weight?
I mean, these guys are the bosses, so they tell me what to do. But the way I see it is, there's unfinished business at 135 pounds. And actually, we had the conversation probably a year, maybe 2 years ago, where it was like, if we can't get the fights at 35, we'll move up to 140 and chase big fights there. We talked about Regis Prograis, Mikey Garcia, all these guys at 140 that I think are great fights. But when he became champion and those fights are there, and then 135 started becoming extremely hot, that's kind of like the money division at the moment. We know there's Josh Taylor who's undisputed, but for me, as long as Devin can continue to make 135 pounds safely, that's the division where you're going to see these mega fights. Because right now, Devin Haney against Teofimo Lopez, mega fight. Devin Haney against Ryan Garcia, mega fight. Devin Haney against Tank, mega fight. And if you move to 140, what are the mega fights?
Bill, what's your thoughts on your son staying at 135 a bit longer?
Oh, we had a great training camp. Devin is maturing. He's matured well beyond his years. Initially, we were, having a little bit of hiccups, him making the weight. But as he's gotten older, he's like I said, he's developed a maturity that he's eating like a champion. He's performing like a champion, both inside and outside the ring. And 135 was not a problem. And you see that he was strong the whole 12 rounds. So, I think it's, we appreciate that Eddie had gave us an opportunity to come over to the zone with him. We wanted to be the U.S.-based fighter that really represents the zone. When we came over, it was initially only Danny Jacobs and Tevin Farmer over here. We know that Canelo has come now, and several other big name fighters. But we want to carry the zone banner. A lot of the other promoters and networks were saying that Devin was going to get lost by coming to the zone. But we felt like the new way of looking at fights and viewing fights was related, base, and the zone gave us an opportunity. Of course, Devin is a pure boxer, but we also know that we want him to be a fan-friendly fighter as well. So going into it, we knew that it was going to be a time when we were going to man up and fight in that pocket against a clever, very experienced fighter in Jorge Linares. And what we wanted to do was back him up. And I think that we did a great job in that fight backing him up. But being that Devin did get hit with a shot, everyone would ask before, they would say, well, we wonder what would happen if he gets hit with a shot. And we never gave you guys a chance to see what would happen. So I hope that you guys are happy now. You see him get hit with a big shot, and you see him show the maturity that he shows, right? And what he told me in the back was, I said, was it a big shot? He says, well, Dad, sometimes you think that it's not a big shot, but it was really a big shot. He says, so what you have to react different to the shot than if you didn't get it. So, you know what I mean? He showed his professionalism, right? And did what he needed to do. He gathered his senses and came back out in the 11th round and got back to working him over.
Eddie, how confident are you that the fight can happen next with Lopez? And, speaking of networks and things, will that not be an issue, whether it would have to happen on ESPN, DAZN?
No, because, I think one of the great things about being with DAZN is the respect they have for fighters and understanding that sometimes to make big fights you have to be flexible. So, of course, the Zone have invested a huge amount of money in Devin Haney, and it's all been worth every penny, by the way. And we would like to do that fight on the Zone. But if that fight has to land on ESPN pay-per-view, then we wouldn't stop Devin Haney. The Zone wouldn't stop Devin Haney because they see the future of Devin Haney. And if you have to make a move to fight on another platform to become that megastar, because you can't get a fight otherwise, then that's what we'll have to look at. But the way we feel is that the Zone have the budget to make that fight, and we would like to do it here on this platform. Teofimo's been quite vocal about wanting that fight. I do believe he wants to fight, actually. I know Devin wants to fight because he told me 3 years ago he's ready for that fight. So that's the automatic fight to try and make next. I think that's the most likely of all. You know, we were really disappointed that Ryan Garcia fight never got made because he was mandatory for Devin Haney, you know, and we hope he gets well soon and we hope we see him back in the ring. But I think you guys really gave him an easy ride, to be honest with you, in terms of not taking the Devin Haney fight. He got Devin Haney, right? That fight was huge, Haney against Garcia. He became mandatory and basically refused to fight Devin Haney. And it shouldn't have happened, in my opinion, especially with a fighter on, you talk about platforms and politics. You know, there's guys on the same platform there. So I feel like Teofimo Lopez is the fight. There's also an elimination fight coming up between Jojo Diaz and Fortuna that will be an eventual mandatory. Good fight as well. You know, I said to Bill, he's going to get better and better and better. He's 22 years of age, but they'll take these fights now. But he's not going to stop improving. He's going to get stronger. He's going to get faster. He's going to get cleverer. So. But he also wants those big fights. I'm just so pleased that we managed to deliver him a fight like that tonight, and you got to see that he is an elite fighter rather than us just saying it.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate his performance tonight? And if not 10, why wouldn't it be 10?
Well, I mean, that's one for the coach. As a fan, I'll give him 9 because I thought it was faultless, and then. Like Bill said, he just tried to entertain a little bit more. He stood in the pocket, got a little bit reckless. And by the way, not just talking about the 10th round, he took a number of big shots in that fight when they were trading up, especially with left hooks. And I thought he took them very, very well. But you know, I thought it was a 9 out of 10, just purely for the fact that, you know, if he was probably a little bit smarter, he would have just probably won every ring. But it wouldn't have been as exciting. And that coach probably don't want it to be that exciting. Trainers never do, but fact is, everybody who watched that fight loved it.
Yeah, it was a great fight. 10 performance.
Bill?
Okay, can I ask you a
Yes,
quick question?
yeah.
A lot of it is public perception, right, what the public thinks, and when Devin got rocked like that, I think a lot of people were, holy fuck, you know, and he almost went, you know, down face first when he walked in the corner there, so do you think
That's a
that,
slight exaggeration.
do you think that hurts him at all, you know, when people see that?
Well, I think I've watched it back. He got hit with a shot. He buzzed. He walked to the corner. He was nowhere near falling over or going down. He put his hands on the rope. He sat down on his stool. He took instructions. He looked up. He was actually watching the replay on the screen. And but people don't talk about when Linares dropped Lomachenko. You know, Haney wasn't dropped. He was buzzed, clearly. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that'll make people think, oh, okay, there's a chink. Because otherwise, without that chink, without that 10th round, really, everyone would be sitting there saying that was a masterclass performance.
And that's what I wanted to follow up with is, I actually, in the ninth round, I thought this was the best Devin Haney look in his career. And so, given that, I wondered, does that sour it at all? Because you're having to defend it, and you're bringing up a knockdown of 3 years ago, and instead of talking about what he did, especially in the first 9 rounds
Yeah,
of the fight.
all I'm saying is Jorge Linares has great power. And when you get hit clean, flush on the chin, actually, you know, at a time as well, when he was not, you couldn't actually see the shot, he was moved out of the way and he took a clean right hand. So, you know, I think that what he actually showed was he can get hit, he can take big shots, and he can recover. And the WBC lightweight champion of the world.
Devin, just, can you talk about the 10th round specifically, I mean, we were talking about a great performance for you, but what, in the 10th round, describe what happened, and do you feel that marred your overall performance? The fact that you had such a good performance in that little stumble back to the corner, did that mar it all?
No, this is boxing. If you go in there and you think that you're not going to get hit with any punches, through a 12-round fight, and it's unbelievable, especially against a guy who's been in there in the biggest fights, who dropped the guy who's the best defensive fighter, has the best legs, the best ring IQ, Loma. He went in there, he hit with a good shot, and I showed grit. I showed that, I still came out strong after that, and I showed that I'm a true champion.
Devin, what will you remember about this particular fight when it's all said and done?
I don't know. I gotta go back and watch the fight. I'm thankful, for this fight. I'm thankful for the opportunity. I'm thankful, that I got to show my skills at the top level, and we'll see.
Can you talk about this fight was supposed to be about being a test, right? You wanted to be tested in this fight. You just talk about that. That's what you got out of this fight.
Of course, I knew that this fight was going to be a test. The world knew that it was going to be a test. This is by far the best fighter that I've fought, and this is the guy that dropped Loma. Let's not forget about that. He went there, he dropped Luke Campbell. Let's not forget about that. He every guy that knocked him out, he probably hurt him besides I would say Cano. And I just think Cano caught him with a good shot early, and he couldn't get back from it. But other than that, the guys that knocked him out, he dropped him or hurt him.
Was there anything that
They took punishment in the process. Look at my face.
Yeah.
This right here is from a headbutt.
On the other hand of that, though, I mean, Eddie, you said before tonight, like, hey, we'll be knocking on your doors. Benavidez, Ryan Garcia, Lopez. All these guys punch harder than Jorge Linares.
Are you sure about that? Because let's just think about it. Jorge Linares dropped Loma. Did TO? So how do you know he hits harder? You don't.
Were you surprised by Linares' power at all? Were you surprised by Linares' power at all?
Early on, when I was walking him down, he didn't have any type of power. I didn't feel any power in the beginning of the fight. But late, I was surprised that he carried power late in the fight, but he just showed that he was a veteran. But his power wasn't what I thought it was. I thought that he would hit much harder than he did.
Yeah. To that point, which I was going to ask about that, because early on you dominated for so long, and out of nowhere, you showed signs of life over those last several rounds. As you say you were surprised, did it not necessarily throw you off your game when you tried to do rhythm, but were you stunned mid-round at any time in those last few rounds?
No, I wasn't. If you look in the, I want to say the 11th round, I still came out strong after that. So it wasn't what you guys thought it was.
Devin, you fought tonight through some adversity and fought in maybe the most entertaining way that people have seen you certainly against a high-level opponent. And then the fans booed. Did that surprise you?
No, it didn't surprise me. At the end of the day, I stayed focused. Of course, the fans, they want an entertaining fight. So, sometimes, they may boo or whatever the case may be. But I went in there and got the job done, and I thank Allah for the victory tonight.
Devin, talked with Eddie about that big fight everyone wants to see with Lopez. He says, obviously he wants to fight on his own, but network's not an issue if that's what it comes down to. Is that the fight you still want next, and any message to Teofimo?
Of course, I wouldn't want that fight next. I want to become the real undisputed king of the lightweight division. I want to make the biggest fights happen. This is the first of many. So let's do it next.
Devin,
Any message to Teofimo?
Let's do it next.
Devin, I asked this of your father, and I know that you want the big fight, but if you can't get it next, I'm just wondering, do you know how your body feels better than everybody else? How many more fights do you think you're willing to do at 35, or can you do this?
Honestly, if it's not the big fights at 135, then I'm gonna go up. It's no point for me to stay at 135 if I can't get the big fights. But my main focus is doing whatever it takes to make these big fights happen, and I think that will happen soon.
Devin, talk to us about the discipline, the being able to remain poised throughout such a young age. You showed so much skill, so much ring IQ. Just 22. Talk to us about that, especially against a high-level fighter.
That was part of the game plan. I knew that it was possible for him to, land some good shots in the fight. I ran up, I heard, I'm not sure exactly on the scorecards, but I heard that I ran up the first 9 rounds. If you look at the fight with Loma, before the knockout, I think Linares was winning. I think he might have been up a round or 2. So I just showed a different skill set that I'm on a different level.
I mean, you just mentioned Loma, he's fighting at the end of the month. Well, the end of next month, I'm sorry. He didn't give you that fight. Would you be willing to give him that fight should he be successful against Nakatani?
Of course, I want to fight the best fighters in the world. I'm not ducking or dodging nobody. I want to make the biggest fights happen. Whoever is next, I'll be ready for it, and let's do it.
And one of the topics going into this fight, Devin, is that Linares had never been outpointed in a fight, and five of his losses have come by way of knockout. You're the first person to actually beat him by decision. So how's that feel?
That just showed my boxing ability. That showed that I can outbox Linares. Nobody ever outboxed Linares. Nobody ever ran up rounds like I did on Linares. So it was either Linares was winning the fight and they knocked him out, because they had to knock him out, or they just caught him with a big shot like Kano did, and put the pressure on him.
Thank you.
Even DeMarco, if you look at the DeMarco fight, he was winning the DeMarco fight. You look at the Loma fight, he was winning the Loma fight. Who else? I can't even think of the other guys.
Just to throw this out there, we talked about Ryan Garcia and Lopez, Gervonta Davis has a belt. Can you do business with Al if that fight presents itself? He has a fight in June. So if Lopez, Fox couldn't get Lopez.
What belt does he have? You said
Gervonta, would you consider him?
you said he has a belt.
Well, he has whatever you call that.
7, he's got 7 in the crew. I think that, there's no, the great thing about this situation is there is no network problems. That's generally an excuse as to why a fight can't get made. So there are no excuses. So if Al Heyman wants to make an offer to us and Bill and Devin to fight Tank on pay-per-view, no problem. It's a massive pay-per-view fight. If someone wants an offer from us, sizable offer to do it on his own, no problem. So I think he's in such a great position because there are really no excuses as to why one of those fights shouldn't happen. And that's when I talked earlier about how I feel you guys gave Ryan Garcia a huge pass, because where's the excuse for that one? Same network, mandatory challenger. And it was just like, no, that's just not going to happen. Why not? I think there needs to be, people need to be more accountable if those kind of fights don't happen. So now, Tank, Teofimo, there's no excuse.
So you think Devin is the best of the third, other than yourself? Who's the best opponent for you at the third fight? Is it Teo, or is there somebody else you think is better?
All those guys are good. I can't just sit here and just lie to the media and not lie to the fans and say that all those guys aren't good. Honestly, I think all those guys are good, and all of them would be a huge fight. But I really don't right now. I want to become the undisputed lightweight champion of the world. So the one that I will want the most is Teo.
And Devin, I want to get your thoughts on the WBC franchise confusion. The Ray magazine recognizes you as the legitimate champion. WBC President Mauricio Suleiman has said that Teofimo's undisputed, so there's a lot of confusion. Does all that confusion make you more motivated just to fight Teofimo and just decide once and for all who's really the undisputed champion?
I just want to thank God for this victory tonight. I feel like I put on a good performance. I want to thank the fans, all the media that came out, and thank my team. We worked hard in camp. You know what I'm saying? Everybody on my team, thank you guys. I want to thank my dad, of course. My dad, he's been here, day in and day out. We've been working. He stayed focused with me through the process. My mother, of course, Eddie Hearn, Elliot, and Grant, Elvis Grant. Those guys for protecting my hands. Ben Davison, my whole team. We stay focused. Church, of course, church has been keeping me motivated day in and day out. My brother Little, my security, my girl, of course, Jania, she's, she's been sacrificing with me. I haven't saw her in about 8 weeks, so, I'm so thankful, for this victory, and I look forward to, showing the world I'm the best fighter.
Will you talk about that relationship with you and your father working together? How has that made you guys even closer, or has it?
Of course, me and my dad, like I said before the fight, we get closer and closer every day. Our bond is something crazy. Like sometimes I think that he's in my head. He knows what I'm thinking. It's unbelievable. But you know, I want to thank my dad. You know, just for everything. Without him, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. Oh, I can't forget about my cameraman. Man, the whole team. You know what I'm saying? I'm so thankful for all you guys. Right, Eddie came. Man, I'm thankful. Frank, I see you back there. Thank you, Frank. Frank the bank.
All right, guys, thank you so much for your support and thanks for coming this week. And we hope to see you very soon. Thank you very much.
Good work, champ. Good work, champ.
And still.
Why was he so handcuffed the first time around? What are you doing that? He's got fast hands usually. Give him space. Give him space. Give him space.
Loma, you handle that business. Don't handle your business, Loma. You see what's happening. You got the queen in here that she's representing.
I'm not representing. Okay.
Okay, listen. Oh, okay, but you still represent good reporting. You get what I'm saying? You always get the exclusive. I know he's going to hear this. Handle your business with Michael Thompson. Yeah.
What have you learned? What have you learned about your son? Have you learned anything else about your son in the process? Obviously, you've been with him 22 years, but
He's just getting more and more mature, man. He's just growing as a person. You know what I mean? Inside and outside. It's amazing, man.
you got to be proud of. You got to be proud of this. You got to be proud of this. Yeah.
I'm proud of all my kids, man. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is what he loves to do. So you know what I mean?
Is this by your urging, or is this what he? When did he tell you I want to get in the ring? I want to go to the gym.
He wanted to go to the gym. I had to take him to the gym because he was fighting in school.
Okay. So there's a process behind it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Of course, he looked great. Right now, my main focus is on 135 pound division. Then we got a message for you. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Heads up.
Where we going,
He's still out. Where's landing?
Watch your step, champ.
Yeah, I'm with you. You keep.
Bill, what was that moment like for you, not just as a trainer, but Devin seldom lost rounds, seldom. What was that like for you, not just as a trainer, but a father, having to go through that as a father and trainer?
Everyone said they were questioning whether or not.
Hey, you a student of the fight. You a student of the fight game. Who did you look up to when you was coming up as a boxer? Who did you look up to? Whose game did you admire?
Somebody that I could touch.
All right. So it was Floyd. All right. Congratulations, champ.
See our champ feel. They got that check. You going to eat. Champion buy me a steak. They got that check. Champion buy me a steak. Mr. Haney gonna buy me a steak.
Serge, what did you think tonight?
It was a spectacular sensational fight. You saw Jorge Linares, that sweet movement. Hands was bleeding. The guys talking about the crowd was booing. They were going to Jorge Linares was dead.
Oh, they love the crowd.
Where's the load dock at?
Oh, loading dock is back there. Devin. Going back to the hotel.
Hey, Dev. What you need? Hey, look, walk back with Kale and go to the low block.
Hey, thank you guys. Thank you, fans, for tuning in. The voice of the fans. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hit me with some comments, boy. Let me know if you guys like what you see. They heading out the building now. We're going back to do our thing. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit me with some comments on what you though.
Hey,